Hello, I'm Canaanite, and I've read the Goosebumps books. As a matter of fact, I'm one of the millions of people all over the world who've read the Goosebumps books. Goosebumps. It all started over 20 years ago with a simple children's horror novel. July 1992 to be a little bit more specific. That was when the very first Goosebumps book was released. It was called Welcome to Dead House, and the plot was pretty simple. Two kids, Josh and Amanda, move with their parents to a new house in the mysterious town of Dark Falls. From the moment they move in, strange and bizarre things start happening, leading the kids to believe that there may be another side to Dark Falls, a side that's much darker than the town's name would lead us to believe. Welcome to Dead House was followed by another book that same month. That book was called Stay Out of the Basement. It told the story of two kids who discover that their father is not what he appears to be. Eventually you'll start to notice that there seems to be a common theme with these Goosebumps books. Usually, you have children, often around the age of 13, having to deal with supernatural forces and oftentimes overcoming their fears and defeating them. Other times, however, the characters weren't so lucky. That's what we like to refer to as a twist ending. The majority of the Goosebumps books feature some type of twist or shock ending that often left readers with their jaws on the floor and the covers pulled tightly over their heads. For most kids, there was nothing like cracking open a Goosebumps book at the midnight hour in the dim light of a flashlight. That was part of the genius of these books. They always kept kids like me coming back for more. For over 20 years more, to be more specific. Now that leaves only one question. Who in the right mind would want to make a career out of terrifying children and single-handedly raise the electric bills of families all over the world? The answer to that question is simple. R.L. Stine. He writes the Goosebumps books. The man who made a career out of scaring the pants off of kids for over 20 years. The Goosebumps series alone has made Stine pretty much a household name at this point, and it's pretty much impossible to find anyone who grew up in the 90s who hasn't picked up a Goosebumps book at least once in their lifetime. And it really didn't take long for this horror for kids thing to take off. I mean, if you were to go to every single bookstore on the entire planet, you're bound to find Goosebumps at least somewhere in each of them. Not to mention the amount of merchandise the series spawned over the years. Just about every toy, piece of clothing, or school supply you can imagine a kid owning had a Goosebumps version at some point. I even used to have a pair of Goosebumps underwear when I was a kid. I mean, as a young kid, you don't really think about how nuts it is for there to be so much random crap made from a book series. And this was all long before the Harry Potter and Twilight insanity that would follow in later years. And out of all this, we also got a television series based on the books. A television series that, in my personal opinion, took the stories to a whole new level of horror.
To life in the most thrilling, spine-tingling series ever. Goosebumps, coming this fall to Fox Kids.
Hello, I'm R.L. Stine. I write the Goosebumps books. In a few minutes, you're going to see one of my favorite stories come alive. The Haunted Mask is a frightening Halloween story about a girl named Carly Beth. The horror begins when Carly Beth puts on the evil haunted mask, and it ends when she discovers there is nothing more powerful than the love of her family and friends. What's so scary about that? You'll see. Viewers beware, you're in for a scare.
Yes, that's right. The Goosebumps TV show was scary. In fact, it left quite a large impact on me as a child. I can remember seeing The Haunted Mask for the first time, and along with most kids who saw this episode, which was the very first Goosebumps story to be told in live action form, and being absolutely traumatized by it.
It's kind of creepy, Mom.
It may sound crazy to some people out there, but the Haunted Mask for its time was incredibly disturbing, especially the design of the Haunted Mask itself. Hell, even the coming attractions before the episode on VHS were scary.
Viewer beware. You're in for a scare.
Cool, huh?
From the pages of R.L. Stine's best-selling books for kids comes the Goosebumps video series.
I think Dad's a mad scientist.
Stay out of the basement. A Night in Terror Tower. The Haunted Mask. The Werewolf of Fever Swamp. The Haunted Mask 2. And welcome to Dead House. 6 fun and scary Goosebumps stories come to life.
It's too weird for words. Don't worry, I'll hold your hand.
The episode was even banned in a lot of places for being, quote, too scary for kids.
Too scary.
Oh, it's just a funny mask, hon. Don't be afraid.
You better watch what you say to me if you know it's good for you.
It's also one of the only popular episodes left to still not be available on DVD, and I've never been able to find out why.
This face is your face now.
So many people seem to crap on it, and it really makes no sense to me. I mean, I get that many of the episodes don't hold up well today and come off as cheesy and campy rather than bone-chilling and nightmare-inducing, but episodes like The Haunted Mask, The Haunted Mask 2, Stay Out of the Basement, The Werewolf Fever Swamp, Welcome to Dead House, absolutely hold up today and honestly rival a lot of the cash grab jump scare horror movies we have today.
Honestly, if it weren't for the show, I don't think I'd be the hardcore horror movie fan that I am today. One thing I have to say about the show that kicks most horror movies' backsides is the music. Of course you have the theme song written by Jack Lenz, which is iconic at this point.
You really have to respect and appreciate how truly atmospheric and chilling the music on the show was. It always did a great job of setting the mood for the episodes, and without it, honestly, most of the episodes probably wouldn't be as creepy.
Stay out of the basement!
In case you were wondering, the Goosebumps books are still going strong today. In fact, there have been a huge and endless amount of Goosebumps books that have been released in the years since the original series ended.
There have even been some series that never ended up being released, specifically Goosebumps Gold, which was set to feature the third part of the Haunted Mask story, as well as a sequel to Welcome to Dead House.
And as if all that wasn't enough to keep you up at night, we're finally getting Goosebumps on the big screen. And it's starring Jack Black, who happens to be one of my favorite comedic actors.
I have to say that after so many years of hoping and dreaming of a Goosebumps film becoming a reality, based on the initial trailer, I definitely don't see any resemblance of what made the Goosebumps books or the show so great and scary. They seem to be going too far into the comedy side rather than the creepy side. I mean, Goosebumps had its funny moments, but Goosebumps is supposed to be creepy. The title should speak for itself.
In the end though, I've been waiting a long time for this, and I'm gonna keep my hope alive, and I'm gonna be right there on opening night, October 16th, in the theater, and I'm gonna have more anticipation inside of me for any movie than I've ever had before. I have a lot to thank R.L. Stine for. I mean, his books made me start writing my own teen horror stories at a young age, which led to me continuing and writing my own full short stories as an adult, and that's something I still do to this day.
It's absolutely amazing that I can still pick up a Goosebumps book today and still get the same kind of chills that I got as a little kid all those years ago. The books gave me the passion I have today for writing and creating. The TV show gave me the passion that I have for horror films today, not to mention helped me cope with a lot of childhood fears in the process. So thank you, R.L. Stine. Thank you for sharing your passion with the world, and most important of all, thank you for scaring the living crap out of us. So if you're a kid out there watching this, and have now decided to go pick up your first Goosebumps book, I'll leave you with this. Reader beware, you're in for a scare.
Viewer beware, you're in for a